welcome to a brand new episode of the TraxionGG podcast. I'm Tom, and joining us today is Rudy van Buren, Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland driver and R-Factor 2 sim racing professional. How you doing, Rudy?
Hello, thanks for having me. All good on this end. And there?
No problem. Yeah, no problem at all. It's very good here. Oh, very, very warm. Not that you need to know that, but I'm sweating right now. So we thought we'd have a quick chat today about sim racing, esports, and then also comparing that to real-world motorsport, as Rudy's very successful in that too. And you might be able to see in the background he's got his sim set up as well, so covers all the bases. So, first of all, if you could just let our listeners know what you're up to this year. I mentioned at the top there, Carrera Cup Deutschland. I've seen that you finished on the podium this year. How's that going for you at the minute?
Oh, better and better. Ticking off the boxes. Was lucky enough to make my debut last year, despite all the COVID that's going around. But it was a difficult season, which was bunched up in the end of the year. No time for testing, etc. But this year we're slowly getting there, and now, like you just said, getting on the podium. So getting more towards where we want to be. Let's say it that way.
Yeah. What does it feel like to finish on the podium at Zandvoort, your home track, so to speak?
Well, for Monza, I felt like a win. The first podium. Yeah. Zandvoort was bittersweet. It was leading 3/4 of the race, so then you should win it as well. So it felt like I won it at Monza. I lost it at Zandvoort, but both the same position.
I did see that, but then at the same time, it's still an amazing result. So don't beat yourself up too much about it.
How we need to do it with the team, with the way we need to do it. We're the underdog, and we're getting there. But still, you need to grab the chances when you get them. But it is what it is. The mistake happened, and that cost the victory there.
But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I think. So I think that will help you.
Last year it lasted about 4 laps in the lead in lousy swing in the rain.
Right.
And now it was 3/4 of the race. So
there we go.
Next step, we get it.
It's progress, and you can't just win overnight, can you? And it looks like you're doing an excellent job so far.
Thank you.
I did actually see, I wasn't going to ask this, but I will do, that on your Instagram that you drove a little classic Alfa Romeo recently. I mean, that's very different to the Porsche, right? But is it the case that when you get the opportunity to drive something, you're just going to take it because any experience might help?
Well, I'm not sure if it's any experience, but my regular teammate in Germany, Sebastian Glaser, is a big fan of all the historic racing, and he invited me. Like, we're racing in Zandvoort. Do you want to try it? So I said, sure. And then obviously everybody gets to do how to drive with 3 pedals with a gear stick. I'm like, yeah. I did some Formula Ford stuff back in the day, so I'm used to that, having more than 2 pedals. I'll be all right.
Old school.
Fun. Yeah, old school. And it's damn hard work to drive.
Is it?
Yeah, we're going around, let's say, 25 seconds slower at Zandvoort than with the Porsche Cup car, but the effort is double, because half of the time with one hand on the wheel, sliding into corners, no power steering. So it was great to have an experience basically the car was from 68. How that was.
Yeah, I was probably supposed to be talking more about Porsches, right? But I just saw that and thought that's such a cool car. I bet it's good fun. Yeah,
there's more coming this year, also with buggies and European races. So.
Oh yeah, are you allowed to talk about that? Or?
Yeah, I am allowed, but it will happen probably first week in September.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled for that. Sort of switching to the sim racing side of things slightly. Obviously, this year you've got a partnership with R-Factor 2. The big logo for the sim is on the bonnet of the Porsche. What's it like representing and working with them?
It's an honor. Being supported by such a big game sim, whatever you want to call it. Everybody has their own
controversial
racing platform.
Yeah, it's probably safe to say that.
Yeah, no, it's cool to have the trust from everybody in there to represent them in the real world, but also still a little bit in the sim world, helping out quite a lot in the background with physics and so on, trying to get the overlap going between the knowledge I gain in the real car, getting that to the physics in R-Factor. So there's quite a two-way street going on. Yeah. But down the line, it's really cool that they offer the support now for 2 years already. Yeah,
that's brilliant, and it shows that just how much they believe in you, I suppose, as a driver. It's good validation of that. Yeah. When it comes to the game or sim world and the real world, what are the key things that are like transferable skills? You obviously sim race a lot. You race in the real world a lot. Do they both help each other?
Yes. Yeah, I always tend to say that one will never replace the other, but it does make each other stronger. There's plenty of stuff you can run through the sim before a race weekend, and there's also plenty of stuff you can't. With the sim, you have the unlimited practice. It doesn't matter if you do 10, 100, or 1,000 laps, you get them. While in real life, most of the time you have 2 laps, because then the tire mileage is already trying to eat on your pace and so on. So it's a completely different atmosphere you're in. But like I said, definitely there's things that, as in race preparation front, getting the flow of the track, all these kind of stuff, there's overlap. And in the end, it's still a wheel and 2 or 3 pedals. Just in real life, there's the forces, the fear, everything that comes in play.
Yeah, and do you still use it on a regular basis to practice for certain events, for example?
Yeah, not on the tracks that I really know, because this year I'm quite busy with coaching in the sim, and it's quite difficult to then, let's say, jump in the sim for fun, because I'm either busy with the racing, with the coaching, and to then take the extra step and, let's say, be this guy that does 2 or 3 hours of sim racing every day. That's difficult. I won't say I'm daily in the sim, but at least 3 or 4 days a week.
Right. So it's still useful to stay sharp and in the zone, but it's not like hardcore every single day, right?
No.
Are you still following esports? Do you watch any?
Yeah.
And if so, what catches your eye at the minute?
Well, I think I watch more than people expect, even when I'm in the hotel or something. I'm obviously still part of Team Redline, so then in the Discord chat you see stuff going on, races happening, and then you kind of watch the big races when you can. So I think I'm pretty up to date of everything going on.
Nice.
Like I watched the first race of Formula Pro.
Yeah, what do you think to that?
I think it was surprisingly good.
Were you not tempted to try it yourself?
I did, but it's just a lack of time. And then I'm in the position where I say I either do it good or I don't at all. And in this case, then I opt for the don't at all. If it would have been winter time, I would have done it 100%. I think the car's great. I'm not sure about the racing just yet. Spa looked promising, but it's Spa. So I'm curious to see what happens in Silverstone, if it becomes a train again or that they can actually fight. But for now, it was good.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just might be track dependent. Certainly the car is a bit of a handful, and that might be provide some good fun racing. Cool. All right. Well, obviously we've touched upon sim racing and your current season there, but let's rewind the clock a bit. For those who don't know, how did it all started? Where did this passion for motorsport and racing come from?
Very, very early age. As far as I can remember, from the moment I got my first bicycle, or how you call this? Not the go-kart, but the one you pedal yourself. I don't know.
Okay, it's like a pedal car or something. Yeah,
that's the word I'm looking for.
That's
Everything was about doing laps and around cones and racing and all these kind of things. So it was kind of natural that I got a go-kart for my 8th birthday. Not as natural that it's normal, but it could be in the line of expectation. Where if you're in a racing family, and my dad used to race, so got it on my 8th birthday. Did go-karting till my 16th. Tried to take the step into car racing, which wasn't possible at the time. Jumped into sim racing. Well, here we are. Yeah,
so I think you did some karting. Did you win a championship in the early days in Netherlands?
Belgium championship and some national, local leagues, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but then I suppose making the jump further, I don't know if this was the case for you, but it's certainly not cheap, and it can be quite difficult to make that next step.
Yeah,
but for you, sim racing.
There was multiple things going on which made me well, let's say, stop the racing real life career at the time. It was good as it was at the time. Sometimes someone needs to pull the plug, and my parents did at the time. And therefore you get other stuff sorted. There's plenty of examples of people that try to hang in there too long, double mortgage, all these kind of things. Mine opted to say time to focus on school. And so I did. And sim racing was a clear replacement for me at the time for the racing.
Yeah, what was the first sort of sim platform or racing platform that you can remember really getting into?
GTR2.
Good one.
We back in the time in Holland, we had these rental places for either DVDs or games or whatever. And I have a very short amount of focus on a game normally. So I tended to rent games, play them flat out for 2 weeks, and then bring them back instead of buying them. because renting was like a few euros or whatever we had at the time.
Those were the days.
Yes, those were the good days. Then I didn't know what other DVDs were at the time. I had no idea. 16-year-old, so we're not that far at that time. But GTR 2, ran into it, played it on the keyboard, and thought, damn, this is cool. Sounds cool, looks cool. I need a wheel for this. Well, did my local job until I had enough money to buy a wheel, put it on the desk. Well, you know how it goes then. New PC, new this, new that, and there you go.
Yeah, it can certainly build from there, can't it? Yeah. And obviously from there, you got really into it. How did it culminate in being on World's Fastest Gamer?
Well, this is like 8 years after that. So I've had my time in GTR 2, Live for Speed a lot the first years.
Me too, with the keyboard as well.
No, I was full on wheel, but so much Live for Speed in the time, to the point where my parents said, "Don't you have friends or something?" That's the amount I played. Then it became Racer 7, R Factor 1, R Factor 2, iRacing temporarily, and then back to R Factor 2 when that really got their feet on the ground. And well, at that point, World Fastest Gamer came around, opted to take part, and well, the rest is history.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I mean, it's not really a spoiler at this point, right? But you did win that. And you obviously, that was a big TV series at the time. It was quite pioneering. What was it like being part of that big production and then becoming the McLaren simulator driver?
It was overwhelming at first.
Yeah.
You get to a McLaren factory, which is really, really detailed
Mind
to
blowing.
perfection. Yes. Yeah. You can still see Ron Dennis his hand in that whole facility. Everything is done to ultimate perfection. You get to see around, you see the cars, you see the people, you get to meet the drivers, and then it's overwhelming at first, but you get used to it quickly. And then I think from the second day onwards, the focus was, how do I win this?
How did you win it? You know, was it extra practice, ultimate focus, skills that you'd learned from?
Well, the thing was, like, half of the pre-races there on site, we had 12 people, and they were like this Christmas tree thing, a drop off. And half of the first rounds was iRacing. And at the time, I was, well, still at the time, so right now as well, I am not a iRacing pro. But we raced the Williams Formula 1 car at the time, which was at that moment the World Championship car, where some of the competitors were actually competing in. So before we even started, I knew, like, I'm screwed in this one. So then I decided, okay, I need to be as close as possible to them, because the people with the knowledge here about the game know that they have more knowledge about the car. And that was the initial strategy from my side. Do good in the media, do good in the fitness, be as good as you can be in the platforms you're not familiar with, and then strike in the R Factor 1. And definitely later on when we got to the real simulators, which has nothing to do with anything we play at home.
Yeah, are they really that different? The actual F1 team simulators to some of the platforms.
Yeah, I think by now the home sims have caught up to like Formula 3-ish teams, but not in detail. Like the basic feel is there, but the Formula 3 teams go more in detail. And then higher up, it's a different league. The higher up in the rank you go, the more difficult it becomes to drive. Yeah.
I would love to try one, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to be embarrassing to myself there. So.
Well, I don't know if it's embarrassing. I'd call it a reality check. That
is it?
Guys do is not easy.
Yeah, I suppose it would make you appreciate more what they can do.
For sure.
Yeah, and this is a slight tangent, I suppose. But speaking of TV shows, I suppose I see you've been on the the F1 Cafe on Ziggo Sport, which, as someone who doesn't understand Dutch, I don't know what's going on, but I follow like Tom Coronel and people on Instagram, and it seems like a really good fun show. Is it?
Yeah, it is. It's really this bar type feeling which is going on.
Yeah.
And by being there more often, you kind of know the guys more. You get more this chemistry going on the table, and it's just good to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think that's really cool that you're on like this sort of. Is it on like a? It's on TV, right? It's on in the Netherlands.
Every Friday evening, 10 o'clock, 10:30 in Holland.
Cool. And well, we just briefly mentioned Formula One at the minute. And just for context for people listening and watching, we're recording this just after the British Grand Prix, which is kind of controversial. Well, just quickly, we don't want to get bogged down in that too much. But who do you think will win the World Championship this year? And are you, following it more than ever?
I think that one's easy.
Yeah, we don't need to answer that. Who do you think I think will win the title?
Well, if you even watch Dutch Formula One shows, then I assume Max.
Yeah, I am British, so obviously I'm a Hamilton fan, but I do think Max will be. He's doing an amazing job this year. Let's put it that way. And what I really want is a close fight to the end of the season. I think everyone really wants that, right?
Yeah, that's. If people ask me the same question, you get the same answer. Like, for now, they both will win races. In the end, if you give me the choice, who do you prefer? Yeah, well, we know the obvious answer. But as long as it's a good fight,
exactly,
and it's exciting for us to watch, which this season is. Like for me, it doesn't need to get to the point it did last weekend, but the scrap they had before that, let's say that, like with the small stuff at the start and so on.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
it was exciting.
That makes it exciting for all of us.
Yeah. So not Formula One, but let's talk Formula E. Obviously, you were signed as like a simulator development driver. Is that correct for the Mahindra team?
Still am.
Still am. That's great. So how is that going? What's the relationship like there, and what does the role involve?
No, it's actually getting better and better. Like it's the same with everything. If you go to a new school or a new team, or it doesn't matter, you need time with the people to get familiar with them, to know their nicknames, to be able to trash talk with them, and to be comfortable around them. Now, I'm quite easygoing with new people, but still, when you're working in such a, let's say, pressure cooker at the time, when you're doing the track support and so on, you need to be on the same page with them, because when you're on the same page, you use less words, they know what you mean, and you improve bit by bit. This relationship is just getting better and better, I'd say. In the initial phase, I needed to learn how to handle with the Formula E, because we all think this whole regen and so on is automatically, but there's a whole process behind it, which you actually do from the driver's side. And I'm not going to lie, I got smoked on race pace initially there in the sim. Like quali pace, no issue, because that's in the end, it's a sim and you drive it as fast as you can around the track. You just have a lot of power and no grip and walls. And I don't mean to make it easy with that, but it's an easier path to get quick to, because it's more in line with what we always do.
Okay.
But then you go racing and you need to lift and coast, pull the regen pedal in a certain way, let it go, brake. Sometimes you don't even brake at a track. Like this,
Really?
It's like specific points of lifting, different driving lines, keeping momentum, switching between various energy modes during the race, which means that the lifting points change, etc., etc. So it's so much to learn up front. This is also why during the season, especially this season, for example, you see Mercedes was super strong initially, and then they come to another track, same car, and they're nowhere. And I don't mean this to diss Mercedes, because you see it happening all through the field, but this was the team which was dominating the first rounds with an extraordinary pace. And the last ones, they're struggling, and suddenly BMW is back, and they had the other thing around last year. So Formula E is mad in that regard with the preparation. And I can go on and on about it. You see Venturi win the last race. Venturi is a copy of the car from Mercedes. Yeah. Why can Venturi do it and Mercedes doesn't with the same equipment? There's so much they try to plan behind strategies. There's a whole world people tend to miss, I'd say.
Yeah, I think the next round is in London. I don't know if I can get tickets to that.
That is weird. It's half indoor, half outdoor.
Yeah.
And if you see the weather forecast, it's going to be half wet, half dry.
I mean, that's why I was semi-tempted to go down and see it, because it's just such a unique and strange track. I don't know if they'll come back another year, but certainly going to be different.
Now, well, basically Freedom Day has been, so I guess it's one big party.
Yeah, that's all we're doing now. We're just jumping around.
No, but I mean, there's no limitation on people there. It's going to be crowded.
Yeah. So as you saw in the British Grand Prix, it was full house, which is good because you can hear the crowd, cheering, which has been a long time since that happened. And yeah, so at the Formula E event, because it's one of the first events after the Freedom Day, I think it will be pretty busy, and maybe that provides some extra atmosphere. It's good. But yeah, you're right. You hear a lot about energy recuperation or looking after the energy in Formula E towards the end of the race, especially. But maybe you don't fully appreciate or understand the amount of hard work and effort that goes into planning that beforehand. And I suppose, as you say, that's probably one of the biggest learning things you've got from that experience.
Yeah, and especially how to stay quick while doing all of this.
Right. Yeah. True.
It's the obvious answer, but it's the difficult bit in the beginning.
Is it difficult for you to then come out of the Formula E mindset and go into the Porsche brain?
No, because when you're at Formula E, you can also switch to quali mode. As in quali mode is in full push.
Right.
No, it's two different worlds. As if it would be closer to each other, say maybe it's difficult. But
right. Yeah.
It's so far apart that you just jump in from one to the other.
Oh, fair enough. Have you got plans to do more Formula E work then in the future? Or is it just going to continue?
As far as I know, it continues. We're planning on driving a car soon. So.
Well, yeah. That's maybe what I should have been asking there. That's kind of what I was alluding to. Is there opportunity to drive the car?
There's opportunity to drive the car without opportunity to compete in a championship.
Yeah,
let's get that out of the way straight away. There's no hope for a racing seat or anything. No. If I drive the car, it's to help and calibrate certain things from the simulator to overlay the two. But there's no intention to end up in a racing seat. No.
Yeah, but that will still be cool to test the vehicle.
Yes.
An actual
seat is made. Everything's ready.
Yeah.
It was supposed to happen last year before COVID really hit.
Yeah.
If you go back on my Instagram, you'll find the pictures. Yes,
I did see that. Yeah.
It's in the car. There's no issue. Everything's ready to go. We're just waiting for the right moment, which now obviously will be after the season has ended.
Yeah. Oh, well, good luck. And I hope that opportunity finally comes. You've obviously been waiting probably nearly 2 years or 18 months at least for that.
It is what it is. Sometimes things take time.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially recently, it's been unprecedented times, hasn't it? So I'm sure it will come in the end. So just in terms of esports, I don't suppose you tried the Formula E content within R Factor 2?
I did. Yeah. It's actually quite close. It's the same.
Is it?
Yeah, the grip level is quite close. We can argue about the slip angles, but the let's say the lack of grip is truly comparable to the real car. The software we use in the let's say the Formula E sims is more detailed with the regen, but it's definitely a step in the, let's say, in the correct way how the real car actually drives. Especially the last update got it a lot closer, and I think it made it cool with the energy saving. Yeah,
it's something I'm struggling with certainly, but I'm enjoying
nothing you can't learn.
Yeah, exactly. It's time, and I'm enjoying how the cars handle. Well, like I say, need to have enough energy towards the end of the race. And speaking of R Factor 2 again, I noticed that you finished, was it third in GT Pro, one of the GT Pro seasons in 2020?
First one.
First one, yeah. How was that season for you? Do you enjoy competing in the GT cars?
Did I enjoy it? No, I didn't enjoy everything. There was plenty of ultra scraps, which got the enjoyment far away from me. But I think we made the best out of it in the end.
It can be quite a feisty series.
It was. Started off with a win. Then there was 2 rounds where it didn't click, a crash, DNF, all these kind of things happened. So third was best I could do in the end. But also there it was already limited on time. And that was the biggest issue. Because all the people that now think that these league races, everybody prepares 30, 40 laps. Well, good luck. You need to add 1-0, potentially 2, which goes into preparation because it's full-time racers, which is fine. But if you can't compete with the same amount of laps up front, as in with preparation, it becomes really difficult. And there's a point where you say, okay, I either do it good or I don't, like I said with Formula Pro.
Yeah.
And the first GT Pro series was difficult time-wise, which then resulted in good and bad rounds where I'd say, okay, if I have time, I'll do it again. If real-life racing takes too much time, then that goes ahead, and that has happened. So we'll see. There's something cool coming on with the endurance series later in the year, which I'll be part of.
Oh, okay, cool. Yes, looking forward to seeing more on that. So I suppose in terms of this year, then it's the Porsche Carrera Cup that's your main priority. Is that fair to say over some esports at the minute?
Yeah, I can say it easier over everything.
Yeah, over everything. Yeah.
There's so much time and effort in getting this season together that it's main priority over everything, and then we'll see what comes out of it.
Yeah, well, it seems to be going well so far, like we said, and I'm sure if you put the effort in, the results will come eventually. Just sticking on the esports team a little bit, I'd just like you to run through your sort of ideal equipment setup, if that's okay. Often we see on Traxion, people talking about, what sort of wheelbase do they use, pedals, monitor setup. What do you use at the minute? What's your preferred setup?
I have Huizingveld Ultimates. I have a SimCube 2 with a custom steering wheel. I have triple 32-inch curved screens and a gaming PC, which at the moment has a 2080 Super graphic card in it. So nothing super fancy, as long as it's stable.
Yeah. And is that the priority for you, the stability?
Yes, I don't need. Most of the graphics are on low. I'm very sensitive to hiccups and everything, so I actually run on 120 FPS and not even 144.
Yeah.
Drop the graphics, just to keep it smooth. I hate it when I have stutters. I know everybody hates it, but you feel it through the force feedback. I just try to avoid everything. Get a bit of overkill on the specs and then tune it down and be safe.
Yeah. I think that's a fair compromise, and I think that is what a fair amount of professional esports races prioritize, is the smoothness and the consistency as opposed to the out and out graphics. If you get like a big frame rate drop when you go through a shadow or next to a competitor, it's not an ideal scenario.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. I've actually had last year when COVID struck in the beginning, we had quite some big events, and there were two events where I was so struggling with the computer. I just couldn't get it hooked up. Every time the same stuff at the start, that everything was delayed and so on, which in the end turned out to be graphic related as well, that we tweaked everything. And as soon as it worked again, the results came back as well. The level is so high, it's in the details. So also in these. Yeah,
that's fair. I suppose we're coming to the end of our time together, but I would like you to ask a couple of key questions about where you think the future of sim racing might go, if that's okay. So in terms of the current simulator market or games or platforms, as we might call them, out there, is there anything that you've learned from the real world that you'd like to see be implemented better, perhaps, in the virtual world?
I think the virtual world would I think the virtual world would benefit from first of all, a limited amount of tires during an event. Just these little things put more pressure on events. So let's say you have 3 sets of tires for your quali in your race, those kind of things. Surprise leagues, basically something which cuts out this amazing amount of preparation up front. I think that would make for a really interesting league, but it's really difficult to get this hooked up, because if you say it can be either one of these 5 cars or 10 tracks, people just test 50 tracks.
But it could be that it's just like any track or car in this particular platform.
Yeah, it's chasing the impossible, but I think that will be cool. But there's already plenty series with fixed setups and so on, which tame these amazing amounts of practice hours down. And thereon, I think that the sim world is getting better and better. Broadcasts are better, platforms are better, social media is getting better. There isn't that much, I'd say, get it over. Rain would be nice.
Yes, that's come up a few times.
Yeah, rain comes up, but I would just go for a few more things which make it more hardcore realistic. And if that means no in-game overlays, nothing of this stuff, damage repair costs time, even in free practice, those kind of things. I remember we had this in Netcar Pro. You know Netcar Pro?
Yeah, I've never played it, but I am aware of it. Yeah.
You even needed to click a few buttons to start your engine, like click the ignition and then click the starter button.
Right.
It was nuts. But it had all of the features I just mentioned, with the tires, damage, and that was bloody nerve-wracking a race evening, because there's always this one corner which is on the edge and you need to do it, but if you do, you're potentially stuck in the box for 10 minutes on repairs, and it gave a really different dimension to let's say the race evening.
Well, I think a lot, there is a lack of jeopardy, let's say, in some respects, if you could just do a quick repair. Exactly. So, maybe some features like that, or certain leagues that use certain features like that could improve.
It's been spoken about with Marcel before. Ones that don't recognize the name straight away.
Yeah, who's that? The lead in our Factor 2.
I don't know who it is, but we spoke about this hardcore mode.
Right.
It would be possible to implement such a thing.
Oh, in that case, let's see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I guess just to finish off, where do you see esports in a few and sims in a few years' time? Do you think it's going to continue growing as it is, and do you think more drivers will use it for testing and come across into real world racing?
Yes, but I think the leap it took last year, it won't take again, because obviously last year every racing driver was stuck at home. Oh damn, I need a sim, and we get it. So much drivers, but it will chip higher up the ranks. And like I said before here in the interview, one won't replace the other, but will definitely make each other stronger.
Yeah.
You will see fluctuating amount of drivers going around, especially in the winter time. More people will jump into the sim, and I think that will be more and more. Teams appreciate the sim more and more as prep, and the games will obviously develop.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and especially like you say in wintertime, I think at the minute a lot of race drivers who were racing virtually last year when they couldn't rail race, they're sort of stopped for now or paused, and they're sort of focusing on the season. But I will expect to see like a few rail race series come back with more esports events over the winter time, right? Because
for sure,
I think a lot of people got into it for the first time last year, and they need to carry that momentum. So that'll be good to see.
They will. Nice.
Okay, well, I think we'll call it an end there, Rudy. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I think what we'd like to say, everybody listening and watching, wishes you the very best of luck with the Carrera Cup Deutschland races for the rest of the season. I'm pretty sure you'll get the win. I'm going to predict you're going to get a win, so that'll be nice. And the next round is in Nürburgring from the 6th to 8th of August, so keep your eyes peeled.
That is a small disclaimer to the Nürburgring one. Obviously, in that area is stuff going around at the moment, which are way more important than driving race cars. So I'm not sure if the race will go ahead. I would understand if it doesn't, because in the end, it's a multi-million-dollar circus that comes around to drive laps on a track. Well, there's people that don't even have trousers anymore, which I kind of feel for in a way. Like it almost feels wrong to be there at the time. But we'll see. It's really bad what's going on there. But if that doesn't happen, I'm sure they'll move it to a different date or track. We have 3 more races to go, that's for sure. And where that will be, we'll see.
Yeah, well, like I say, we wish you the best luck, and that's a very good point there. Wish everybody in Germany all the best as well with what's been happening over there at the time of recording. So thank you very much, Rudy. You can always, if the race is postponed, you can always fire up the sim and put some more hours in there, I'm sure. And for everybody listening, please do like and subscribe on YouTube, follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's free and it just helps out the podcast. Follow us on social media at TraxionGG. What's your social media handle, Rudy, so people can follow?
At Rudy van Buren. Really simple.
Yeah. Nice and easy. That's on Twitter and Instagram, correct?
No, Twitter is actually RV Buren. But do we still use Twitter nowadays?
I did see you tweeting about Formula 1.
Yeah, I did do it in the weekend, because it's a booby trap when you open it during a Formula 1 race. I couldn't help myself to put
same. Fun times. All right. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Thanks.